Welcome to the AssistKD BA Brew. I'm Kate.
I'm Kerry.
And I'm Jonathan.
Today we're exploring the wonderful world of business service design. So I'm going to go over to Kerry and Jonathan and ask them what business service design means to them.
Thanks, Kate. So if I look at a more formal view on what business service design is, to me, it's a range of analytical and thinking frameworks and design techniques that define, develop and deliver customer-centric services, which will enable business to succeed. And there are four thinking approaches that we will probably talk about throughout this podcast. You've got systems thinking, which is looking at systems within your organisation, both internal and external systems, and how they work together. You've then got service thinking, which is understanding the nature of value and how we can co-create value with our customers being involved as a big part of any project or product that we put out to market. Then you've got the design thinking element, which is really around the human-centered approach to problem solving and creating solutions. So really putting the customer at the heart of everything that we do and deliver. And then we've got lean thinking, which is talking about value from the view of the customer, continuous improvement and adding on quality and trying to do things for our customer where less is more for our customers. That's for me.
Brilliant. And I can't follow that at all, Kerry. But I'm just going to add it's everything that you just said. There's loads of tools and frameworks underneath it. But for me, at its heart, it's how do we make our customers, victims, beneficiaries feel when they engage with our products or services? And we're not doing this for the sake of making kind of the customer feel good. We're doing it to enable business or organizational success, but it's a human-centric approach. And the other thing I want to add is that I think business service design is sort of the next, it's an evolution of some of our more traditional ways of thinking. So if you think of a business analyst service, think about business architecture or enterprise architecture, or thinking about the world of products or projects. This is a tool set, a thinking approach. It's a discipline that can kind of harness all of those and pull people together towards delivering outcomes for both the business and the customer. And if you can marry those two up in terms of getting the balance between the two, then that's kind of this is a toolkit for success for an organization when applied appropriately, effectively. Obviously, it's not a magic silver bullet, but there's some very powerful thinking frameworks and tools within this discipline of business service design.
Brill. So could we explore, you alluded to some frameworks there and some tools. What can we explore those in a bit more detail? What's your favourite?
Sure. My favourite of all of them is lean thinking. I really love lean thinking. Think about the customer, flow, quality, defect reduction, waste reduction. So I really do love lean thinking. But I'm going to say my favourite at the moment is systems thinking. I think the world is more complex than it's ever been, and we've got so many different perspectives of a business system, and we've got, as a result of those perspectives, different people have different views as to what are the emergent properties from a business system. So if I give an example, a school, for example, the emergent property might be qualifications, it might be well-being for the child, it might be physical education, it might be making friends. They might be the emergent properties for a child or for a parent, but for a teacher, the emergent property might be it's my career, it's my job. Maybe this school is there to help me achieve my next step in my career. I want to become the head teacher, and then I want to move on to a bigger school. If you look at something like a pastoral team looking after the well-being of children, I've got a different perspective. If you looked at the school maintenance janitor, service, they've got to do it. They're the school's there to be maintained, and so you've got all of these different perspectives of this same system called a school. And the point of it is not to analyze those for the sake of it, but if we're making a change, we have to consider those perspectives so that we don't damage one of the outcomes as we're making the change. And the other thing, and I think this fits in with some of the agile software development practices, if we're changing something, we have to notice what are the impacts of that change on the environment so we can test and learn, refine, continuously improve. And these thinking approaches, they blend with each other. You don't sit there and do systems thinking. You don't then sit there and do lean thinking or service or design thinking. It's a comprehensive toolkit, and you can apply them simultaneously. So I know I've talked a lot there, so I'm going to try to stop talking now.
No, that's interesting. And those different perspectives and bringing together those different impacts of change and things, do you think that's relevant at every stage of the project? Or do you think is it sort of a way of being? Is it a delivery approach? Or are they tools and techniques that help you define early on and that's it? Or is it something that you sort of need to weave into the sort of the way that you deliver as a team?
So you can use it early, during, after the project. It's beyond project. It's in this service design world, project is kind of it's a concept that's useful to deliver change and absolutely necessary in a program, but it's not thinking about what the outcomes for the project. It's thinking what's the long-term outcomes for the business service, and how do we improve the health of the organization long term. And the other thing that it does is it goes beyond product. So if you've got a product focus, that's thinking about delivery of a single product. It's siloed thinking potentially in some organization. Was service design is challenging that and saying, what's the holistic services across all of your products? And so it's all about the end-to-end customer journey. So it's kind of above the project program and it's above the product, and it's genuinely holistic, which is why I'm very excited about it, because we've talked for years about holistic business analysis. Well, this for me is one of the next steps in our journey for business analysts and for service designers to genuinely do this in our organizations.
Yeah, and if I can just add an example where I've seen it in sort of the financial services world. So I was working on a project looking at merchant financing for small businesses, and they were very much focused on delivering more products. So they had certain term loans that they were put into market to deliver because that's what they thought customers wanted. Some wanted a 1 year, one wanted a 3 year, some wanted a 5 year. When we actually, so my favourite technique is design thinking. Mm-hmm. So when we took out this project to talk to customers and ask them about the products that they were receiving from the financial services company, they really liked the products, but where they were struggling was because they were small businesses, they have peaks and troughs in their revenue, sort of month on month. And that's where some of them were failing to meet some of their payments. So the product team thought by just keep offering different term loan products, it would help them as a business. But actually, by going out and talking to these customers and identifying the real problem on why they're not meeting their payments and understanding the peaks and troughs in the product, is then we've got enough information to go back to the product team and say, the products are absolutely fine as they are. What we need to do is just continuously improve the products and to think about what our customers are saying to us about maybe flexing payments up and down, as opposed to offering more and more products where companies can get sort of in lots of debt and things like that. So this is where the lean thinking element really comes in. It's all about the continuous improvement of products and services that we can give to our customers. So I just wanted to add that on to your point, Jonathan.
It's a great example as well, Kerry, because that design thinking, I think, is the most fun of the thinking approaches. Definitely, let's do assumption reversal and do divergent thinking. One of the great techniques is thinking about a product, a finance loan, and connecting it with something that's not related. I'm trying to think of, I've got the Harry Potter owl just over my shoulder, and let's use Harry Potter's owl. How does that link to a finance product? And they don't link. And the point is, you're trying to get people to think divergently about what are the problems, opportunities, question and challenge assumptions. And that assumption of it's the same payment amount, or the payment amount varies based upon the turnover of the business based on its cycle, challenging that, reversing it is really powerful. That can have a massive impact on the customer experience and the business success. That is a great example, Kerry.
Yeah. It's a really good example of creating business services and how we can have an impact on that. What about being on the receiving end then of a business service, good or bad? Any good examples?
Kerry, do you want to go?
Good example. I think everybody can relate to this one, and I think it's got to be the Apple phone. I think Apple just put out the best business service design ever, and I think their evidence is that people queue up for their new iPhones that are launched when they know a new one's going to be out. It's all about their brand and what they're offering. And everybody loves an Apple iPhone. Well, not everybody, but most people like an Apple iPhone. So I think they've got it. And their service design is obviously very good because it draws people into wanting the products. And, you know, the earbuds that they're launching, they're very popular. And I think anything that Apple put out seems to just work really well. And I think that's because they really do their customer research and listen to their customers and what they want, and almost thinking about what customers want before we actually know what we want. And you can only obviously do that by going out, talking to customers, creating a customer journey map and asking them about things that they might want or any opportunities that could improve the product that we've got. So I think Apple have definitely a company that have got it right.
Wow. So I'm going to play devil's advocate, Kerry. You're going to fall out of me. I don't use Apple.
I don't either.
It's Android.
Oh no!
But this is
it's
really
the same principle.
The value proposition of Apple. You know, it does what it says on the tin. Excellent products, excellent services, and they're high quality and they're well thought through, well designed. And you're right, that queue outside the store, they're getting something right in terms of their service design, definitely. But their value proposition doesn't work for me. And it's interesting because I like the openness of the Android operating system and solution, and I don't like the closed element that's there with Apple. And I'm also going to say, you know, they don't always get it right. No company's perfect, and Apple recently they've launched something. And I've only heard about this recently, but something called, I think they're called AirTags. I might have the name wrong. It's like a remote tag that you can put, for example, in a piece of luggage, and you can track where that luggage is anywhere in the world. And it's such a great concept, and the use case is really well thought through, I think. What's happened is some of these AirTags are being used, and it's not the intended purpose. Stalkers are putting them in people's cars or in their luggage, and the person doesn't know. And what Apple have done, which is great, they're notifying the person that you've got an AirTag near you. And they've thought about this scenario, and they're working their way through it. I think there's some work to do still, but it's kind of that continual learning, continual improvement, keeping your customers happy. Great example, Apple. They're brilliant. I like Nintendo. I like the Nintendo design. If you remember playing bowling on the Nintendo Wii, or if you're children or you as adults have got the Nintendo Switch and played Mario Kart and those kind of things, just a really great service and innovative products. And I mentioned, how does it make you feel? And that kind of Nintendo, how does it make you feel when you're sat around with the family at a family event, Christmas or something, and thinking, well, that was fun, beating granddad at bowling, whatever it might be.
Lovely. So what would be your recommended starting points then for people who are intrigued by service design and want to apply some of the principles to their organisation? What would be your top tip, your top starting point for people?
Coming on the AssistKD training course, obviously. It's a good starting point. The thing is, there's so many tools and techniques out there that we've been mentioning, and I think it's just trying to incorporate maybe one into some of the projects that you're working on. So for me, I really like customer journey mapping because I think it's easy to map out a customer journey. And being sort of from a business architecture, business analysis background, I think if you've got a customer journey map that you can do the end-to-end map a service onto, it's easier to link that journey up through the chain to which business service that particular journey relates to. So you can see where you're adding value to the architectural landscape for a business. So I would just say, just pick out one technique and just sort of start to use it in with your projects, every day.
Yeah. I'd definitely learn one thing at a time, build your confidence, do the research. The other thing I'm going to say is be inquisitive. So ask questions, and lots of the people listening to this podcast, they're professional question askers, and that's what we're good at. But ask more questions and ask about the customer impact. That inquiry technique using the customer journey map, fantastic for that. Pick up and use an empathy map. What does the customer say, do, feel? What do they say? What are their pain points? What are their gains? You don't need permission to do this in your work. You could use that as framework I've just described to think through from a customer's perspective what is going on with regard to a customer journey or touch point. And so being inquisitive, pick up and use the tools, but be empathetic as well. So you've got to that human-centered element, being empathetic. And I'm gonna give a health warning as well. Design thinking is really, really fun. Mass game storming sessions and linking things that shouldn't be linked and reversing assumptions. You have loads of fun, but always remember the business outcomes. Because if you're thinking about the customer and the business or organizational outcomes, that gives you an advantage, I think, as a change professional, irrespective of your role, whether or not you're a service designer or a business analyst, product owner, project manager, or any of the other roles that we've got in our change profession. Just think about the customer and think about business outcomes.
Yeah, I love that. Finding the balance between the two that's the sweet spot, isn't it?
Mm.
Any final thoughts from you, Kerry?
For me, I think business service design, I think it is the future. I think it's where you'll see a lot of organisations going, particularly like the large financial services companies or ones that have got like lots of legacy systems. I think we're going to have to improve and really focus on the business service element as opposed to being sort of product focused. We do need to really think about the customer-centric design and all the frameworks that we've mentioned on this call today. I think that is the way of the world, and I think it will become bigger and bigger, and people's mindsets will be changing more towards service thinking rather than product or project thinking.
I was going to mention a couple of things. So the importance of value co-creation, it comes from the service thinking domain, and this is collaborating to identify, create, and then realize value for the customer. It's a lot of discipline, it's a lot of hard work, but collaboration requires you to trust people. You've got to be empathetic, you've got to listen, and you've got to learn together and continuously improve, challenge each other. There's a lot of work required to make this happen. And then the last thing I want to say is it's not just about service companies. So we're talking about service design. A product is a service as well. And I'm going to give an example. I bought many years ago, way too many years ago, an amplifier. And it was part of a separate system. I saved up my holiday kind of job money and I bought this amplifier at the age of 17. And it's a physical product, but I'm still using it today. I used it this morning to listen to some music. And so it's a product, absolutely, but that product, the service I get from that product, because post-purchase, I'm still using it and I'm still very happy with the service that product is providing for me. So it could be a pair of shoes. It's a physical product, but that shoes it gives you a service as you walk in them, you're wearing them. So it's not just for the physical products. You can use these concepts on both the genuine services like a loan, or I don't know, a coaching session or something, but also for physical products.
Brilliant. Thank you both so much. It's been really interesting, and I love this sort of like the co-creation element of it and bringing the business side of it with the putting the customer at the heart and focusing really on how you're making somebody feel. I think that sounds really interesting and like quite a profound shift from what some places have been doing so far. So exciting times. I hope you've enjoyed today. Thank you for joining us. If you have any comments, thoughts or questions, then please get in touch via our email address. It's babrew@assistkd.com. Thanks.